Welcome back to Systems and Questions with me, Serena Sayed Hussein. This is an audio program and podcast to reflect on complexity in a world of flux, and this is a video episode, not just audio. So, actually, can't call it an audio program. How to win elections. Let's look at Adam Polanski, the leader of the Green Party in the UK, and Nigel Farage, the leader of Reform. Both parties gaining in popularity. That's one way of explaining what's going on currently in the UK political system. There is no general election round the corner. Well, not according to the usual schedule of programming, but in order to change the political party system so that it's not dominated by your Labour and Conservative/Tory party, the change that has to happen now at a grassroots level with new political party alternatives. And what we're seeing with these two styles of political leadership in Zack Polanski and Nigel Farage is that they understand media, they understand new media, digital communications. And as I said on a short video, which may have brought you to this episode, Zack knows how to shell. He's straight shelling. Let me explain. So this is a phrase that has come from UK rap. I wouldn't even say it's slang. So you'll find people sort of refer to a rapper, a lyricist, an MC who is very much on point. They're in a great flow. They're very articulate. Their lyrics, their poems are just so impressive, and how they deliver it. It might be with speed, it might be with real artistry, with some really impressive mechanics when it comes to lyricism. People say, yeah, they're just shelling. They're shelling like a weapon. And the thing with Zack Polanski is that he just does this so effortlessly and consistently whenever he is interviewed or is speaking on his own platforms. Now, as you know, I am that irritating, ambiguous, neutral observer, and happy to be, only because I'm too cynical to I'm way too cynical and way too observant to feel like I can really believe and trust in any sort of political leadership, especially when I'm just not impressed with the system as it is. I appreciate that in order for the system to change, the players need to change. That's one way of looking at it. One way of looking at it. Now, it's all very impressive to be articulate, to be on point in this phase of building support, building a following, these early stages of having to really establish a political party. It's all very well. You have the freedom because you're not actually in government, you're not in power. Will that change? We know it changes because we know that campaigns can be very impressive. Candidates can impress the electorate with all sorts, and it doesn't necessarily mean that's how they will be, that's how free they will be once they're actually in power and having to deal with the actual dynamics, the actual context, the inside of government and being in power, and having to be accountable to many stakeholders, not just the electorate. There's this very simplistic view that we have, or that is propagated, is that the politician is accountable to you, the voter who voted them in. You are their constituent. the politician is not only accountable to us, which is why in the current system there are other levers, there are other stakeholders and interests whom politicians are accountable to, and that is why we see them making choices that aren't in line with what our desires are, what our wants are, what we feel is right and just for society, for communities, especially impoverished communities, especially in societies where there is inequality, deprivation. We see policy making, we see new initiatives, governmental initiatives being introduced, launched without consultation with the electorate, with the people who vote them in, because those in power aren't just accountable to us. In fact, they're barely accountable to us. They need us at election time. Isn't it a bit absurd when you really zoom out to look at the sort of the system? It's like, to get this entity in a place of power, it requires popular or majority support. Just to simplify it, because I know there's different sort of electoral systems, and we have proportional representation. PR? No, we don't have PR. Sorry, we have first past the post. That's what we want. That's what is being requested, is proportional representation. Proportional representation, what we have currently, is first past the post. So, but there's essentially the principle is the majority, right? So you have support, you have the most seats in government. There's not even a majority. I know you. You're very smart. You're very clever. You're pushing back on me right now. It's not just about the majority. It's also, well, it's mainly about who gets the most seats in Parliament in through the first past the post system. Now you've got that part which requires votes, right, to get them in, but then once they're in, they're not accountable to the people that got them in. And you think, well, what's it for then? Why not just get elected by those you are answerable to? Because you're not answering to us. And maybe that's the way things are going to go. If you are somebody who asks lots of questions, is super curious, and looks at all kinds of different information, and is curious about AI and future developments and how that will impact politics, voting, you may begin to see some patterns. You may begin to see some likely occurrences. You may be able to predict what may change the current system. And I welcome your thoughts. If you are listening and watching on YouTube, then please do jump in the comment section. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. And if you are listening on any other podcast platform, please do follow, like, rate, all those wonderful things that podcasters rely on. We depend on. You are my stakeholder, my only one. So you've got Zack Polanski. I keep wanting to say Adam Polanski for some reason, but Zack Polanski. Who's Adam? Zack. He looks like an Adam. No, I can't say that. Yes, I did. I said it. Zack Polanski is just straight shelling. Like, he is incredibly good. And now this new media style, it's not just about going on podcasts. It's being the podcaster. It's being the radio host. It's having the communication ability, technique, competence to host a show. So remember when Ronald Reagan, as a sort of actor, came into politics, and we've seen many or some from the entertainment world going into politics. Now you need to do both. Now you need to do both, because if getting into power requires eyeballs and it requires the attention economy, then you're going to have to be a comedian, a podcaster, an actor, and a politician. You're going to have to do all of it. these are the kinds of things that I think are really important for us to reflect on. Because when we're choosing to trust in somebody, to vote for them, to invest in them, and this can go for your sort of personal life as well, it's really important to recognize, to articulate, to say it very loud that they are like this, or they are competent in this way, not because they are the best option for me and how wonderful to have a human like this, but this is now the only way to win elections. This is the style, the persuasive style of somebody who wants to get into power. And one way of looking at this is to imagine you are being courted, dated, and this person is love bombing you. You need to really try. I'm sorry, I've gotten into sort of colloquial trend terms from the online and offline world of relationships. Ugh, imagine launching a relationship podcast. Do we need another? Take the mics away from them. So you're being love bombed by this person, and you need to figure out, are you for real? Are they for real? Is this genuine? The politician is genuine. Well, the campaigner, let's just call them the campaigner. They're genuine. They're absolutely genuine, and they want to serve and change things. How they do that will change once they're in, and what they change will also, what they determine needs to be changed first will shift once they're in power, which is why so many times voters will say, we voted you in to do this and you've not done anything about it. Because once they're in, they have to deal with other stakeholders, there's limitations, or they were just disingenuous. They lied to you just to get you into bed. they, they did. I mean, that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. It's almost like when somebody woos you, she says woos you to get you. And then once they got you, they're not serving you, but they're using you for social capital and currency. Why have I gone like this? I don't know. Maybe it was all my years living in East London, or the West London in me is coming out. I don't know which part of London I actually am loyal to. I think I've got a soft spot for the East End as well as West. Nothing else. And Surrey, the countryside. What a wonderful tangent to talk about the countryside. Because you've got to get out. You've got to get some space from all of this stuff. It's partly why I started, well, I scaled back on producing so much reactive content, because it puts you in a state of reactivity and you can't spot patterns and you can't choose well for yourself. It's like in the dating game, you're always out, you're always in the club, you're always at dating events, you're always on a dating app, wherever you are, and you're just taking in all this data, and you never get to connect, tune in to your intuition, your inner guidance, your gut, whatever you want to call it, because you are so tuned, invested just in the rabbit hole of the thing. So then you can't make sound choices, and your sort of sound judgment is compromised because you're just doing comparisons with, oh, that person on that app and that person in that bar and that person in that club and that person I dated. You're never getting to tune into yourself, and question what you need to question and reflect on what you need to reflect, because you're never giving yourself that time and space from the game. Same goes for politics. If you're always in it, you're always in it. Lately, I opened up Clubhouse again. And I'm listening to sort of lots of rooms about Trump and people arguing, and they've got all the data. I mean, they're so tuned in. They know what every political commentator has said. They're listening to press briefings. They're doing it all. I've been there. I could have started. I mean, at one point, I think before Trump got into power, before the election, I think I was even watching press briefings every day, and I knew what was being said. I knew the names of the reporters who were questioning the previous administration. And you kind of feel like you're in the know, but are you in the know? Because that's just one corner and one segment of the internet. And you will never know it all unless you just want to become like like AI slop, right? The AI content, the slop that's just being churned out. You'll become the equivalent of just reactive viewer slop. And then you bring all that data to the dinner table or to social events, and you think you're really smart, like you've got all the talking points, you know, all the facts, right? And then you just be a contrarian, or you just put out something that's much more attractive to a conspiracy theorist, and the cycle goes on. We even get so evangelical about our own positions that we say, no, can't date that person, can't be friends with that person because they're going to vote for them or they like them. At some point, we've all gotten really reactive and then loyal to one side. Your party, you are not going to recover from this absolute nonsense. And I call it absolute nonsense is because the Liverpool conference is right around the corner, and there are now rumors about Zara Sultana not being invited to the main event, but the pre-conference event is just her, and Jeremy ain't invited. What are you doing? Because in the meantime, whilst you've got your people behind the scenes putting out statements, speaking to press, resigning, quitting, you've got the likes of Zack, Nigel Farage, who are just straight shelling. And they're doing it in unison with their peeps from their respective parties. What are you doing? What are you doing? How can you have a rap beef within your own party? That's what it's like. It's like Stormzy and Chip. You tell me, which one out of Jeremy? I'm gonna say Jeremy Stormzy because he's got some establishment thing about him going on. No, he hasn't. Come on, but he's been around. No, I mean so is Chip. Okay, let's just say it's up to you. You tell me, out of Jeremy and Zara, which one is Stormzy? Which one is Chip? Or if you want to go to UK hip hop, which one's Drake? Which one's Pusha T? It's up to you. Your call. Because how can you have this much discord? How? How on earth are you going to win? And you know how comms works, communication works, press works, PR works, spin works. This is awful for perception. This is really not gonna work. So why are you still doing it? Why have Jezza and Zara, why let's call them Jezzy and Zip, kind of like Stormzy and Chip. Jezzy and Zip, okay? Jezzy and Zip. Why have you not come together right now? Okay, why haven't you not come together on one mic? I mean, there's just get on one mic together, stand at a lectern together. Is it because that would have the sort of perception of co-leadership? But It doesn't matter about perception. It's what people understand. It's what they're expecting. It's how they regard Zip, as in Zara Sultana, and Jezzy, right? People are already like, imagine a split, like half the members or whatever portion of the membership want Zara to be a co-leader or the leader, and then you got, it's like, this is not what you want. Just be very clear from the outset, and that's not what's happened. And all the while all of this ambiguity is going on, the love bombers come in and they just shell, and now there is no way of winning. You meant well, you had great intentions, your party, you really did. You were all about taking your time in the relationship, being a little bit open and not locking it down, and the love bombers have come in. The love bombs have come in, and they're like, nope, we got this. What do you think? I would love your thoughts. Welcome. If you are new, I'm Serena. I've been in media and comms for more than 20 something years. Gosh, I think it's actually been 25 years. It's awesome to have your time and attention, the most important thing that you have. And I will catch you in the next one.